think people miss out on being empathetic.
Yes.
A lot right now in culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's why it's like coming up so much with the holding space for someone or giving them space is I think culture right now is so divided over everything. Even in church, like I just feel so much that culture and people are so set on being right on their view, whatever that view is. It can be in the church or out of the church, that they don't listen to what the other person's saying.
Hello, and welcome to the Hope Over Coffee podcast, where we seek to stir the souls of others over a cup of coffee. So let's grab a cup and dive in.
Welcome to Hope Over Coffee. I am your host, Jared Ogea, and this is my co-host I just hit the mic. This is my co-host this week, Julia Ogea.
Hi. I'm his carbon copy.
Carbon copy.
It's all true.
I was thinking the other day, like, everybody that like does these podcasts, they're like, oh, shout out to so-and-so, shout out to so-and-so.
Yeah.
I don't really have like shout outs to anybody
Uh-huh.
other than like people that should be on like my platform of the coffee house. Which I don't ever mention that. You know that? I don't. So I have this in this app called the Band app. It's not my app, but it's the Band app.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this place for guys to come hang out, and it's called the Coffee House. And it's meant for guys over 18 to come and hang out and try and talk about stuff.
I did not know that.
Yeah, see, that's why I said, like, I never mentioned it.
So shout out to your app.
Shout out to the coffee house members. I don't know what to call them. Because they're not patrons. They don't buy anything. I'm trying to think of something like cool to go along with a coffee house, but I can't think of anything.
What do you call a customer that goes to a coffee shop?
A patron.
Oh.
But they're going to buy coffee. I don't have anything like that. I mean, it's free. They're not buying anything.
We'll workshop it.
Yeah. They're not a dweller.
They're freelancers.
They're
solicitors. They're loiterers.
Loiterers. The coffee house loiterers.
The coffee house loiterers.
Yeah. So if you're a member of the coffee house, awesome. I get this podcast is not for everybody, but it's for those that want to be and still listen. So anyway, it's cool. If you're there, awesome. If you're not, awesome. I love you anyway. So anyway, yeah. So this week I'm kind of tired this week. I feel
I had a very emotional moment this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel fired up and ready to talk. So I'll do most of the talking this episode.
Well, I actually have a question for you.
Oh, yay.
But what was your emotional thing about?
If I get into it right now, we're going to be here for the next 2 hours. So,
I mean, I don't know how anybody else in the house would appreciate that, but I mean,
you say your question first, and then I'll somehow tie it back. Hang on. Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay, so I've been thinking a lot lately about I'm listening to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to a lot of podcasts, preachers, this, that, and the other. And there's a lot of talk. I think it's a buzzword, actually, of space. Giving space, holding space, giving someone space to kind of be who they are, but also love them in where they're at. And for them to find their identity in Christ and stuff, but like giving space. And I was wondering for you, because you are freshly out of high school.
Freshly. Probably like 2 weeks out of high school.
And heading into college. So I know you're not in that space of college yet,
mm-hmm.
but what do you think about this idea of holding space for someone to deal with the things that are going on in their life, or are allowing them to be free at where they're at, but also how do we love them where they are the way Christ loves them?
I'm going to bring in my psych knowledge because I'm going to college for that.
Right.
To talk about feelings and things like that.
Right.
So I'm very big on what does it mean to give somebody space? What does it mean to whatever you said? I don't remember. I think patience is what I'm trying to tie all of that into. I think patience is the key to all relationships, any relationship that you have. But when we say we're giving space to somebody, that means you're doing what you're doing, and I clearly see that you're going through it, you're processing something in a good way or a bad way, and I see that, but giving you space means that I know you don't need me in this moment, so I'm going to wait for you, and I'm going to be patient.
Being patient. I get that.
I understand that you're going through something, but I'm with you.
When are we not going through something?
That's true. That's true. But everybody goes through stuff differently.
Right.
And everybody processes it differently.
Right.
Some people are better at it than others.
Mm-hmm.
But, so like, let's make a scenario where I'm going through something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I am in this period of just like, I'm down in the slumps. I'm feeling down. I don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And you, as my concerned father, approach me and is like, what's happening?
Yeah.
What is going on? If I say, hey, Dad, thanks for noticing that I'm upset. Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Awesome. But if I also, there's a different scenario where I could say, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
In the right scenario, where it is safe to do so, parental figure be like, okay, I see you're working through it. You don't want my help right now. That's cool. I'm going to give you some space.
So, in the times that I've done this, when I can visually tell that you're distraught.
Yeah.
And I've asked this before, like, do you want me to fix it? Do you want me to listen? What was the third one? Do you want to fix it? Do you want me to listen? Or
give you advice?
Advice. Yeah.
I covered up my mouth when I said that.
No one can hear you.
Yeah. Julia specifically. So don't generalize when I say this, but Julia is very big on I want you to listen. I don't want you to fix it.
Right.
I want you to understand what I'm going through, and I want you to realize what's happening to me with a little bit of empathy occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a big girl. I can handle my problems. I know my boundaries and breaking points, and I know when I cross that, I'm like, yo, I need help. Because, being down in the dumps isn't something new to me. I think I know when to ask for help. I think I'm at a...
But how do we help those?
Mm-hmm.
How do we listen? Well, I think that's the key point, is we need to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I think people miss out on being empathetic.
Yes.
A lot right now in culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's why it's like coming up so much with holding space for someone or giving them space. Is I think culture right now is so divided over everything, even in church. Like,
Parker, get away from the chickens.
So yes, we're in the house. So I'm waiting for a cat to literally walk across.
They're gonna come careening around the corner
and run over us. So yeah, holding space.
Mm-hmm. Empathy. Listening.
I just feel so much that culture and people are so set on being right on their view, whatever that view is. It can be in the church or out of the church. That they don't listen to what the other person's saying. I think that is a huge thing right now. Or not right now, just in general. People don't listen to what the other people are saying.
Let me word this correctly. When you get to a point in a relationship where you understand each other's feelings better than you understand each other's words, I think that's when there's true communication. So when, like your instance in the church, there's, I mean, personally speaking, because there's so many, difference in ideologies and difference in views and, all the other jazz that comes with the different denominations of church, whatever you want to call it.
Hey, people, this is real life in my house. We sit and talk, and the cats are nuts over there.
This is the same couch we binge watch Netflix on.
Yeah.
So, hi.
Welcome to our home.
I completely forgot what I was saying.
Sorry.
Difference in ideologies. I think as believers, you're going to have a thorn in your side editing this video. This is about to be nuts.
This is our house.
Yes.
I don't know how much of this I'm going to cut out.
Just leave it all in. Just leave all of it in.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
When we truly understand each other's feelings as believers, that is when true relationship and communication happens. Because, stripping away our relationship as father and daughter for the second, let's just say we were friends.
Okay.
Hi, friend. I know you're going through something right now. And, I'm here for you. And I'm not going to make you feel bad about going through whatever you're going through, whether it's in your control or it's not. I understand your feelings. And when you want to talk about it, I'm here. But if you don't, I'm going to back up and give you some space. We've come full circle. But yeah, I think a lot about relationships is communicating effectively.
Yeah.
And truly understanding each other's feelings. Even if you don't like that they're feeling that way.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what about between a believer and a non-believer that have differing opinions?
Yeah.
Different beliefs, different
plenty of those.
Plenty of difference.
Yep.
Plenty of difference. And how do we get past the preconceived notions of and assumptions of who they are as not a believer and them as us as a believer?
So how do we break down that wall of, oh, you have different beliefs than me, therefore I'm not or can't like you?
Right.
Lots of that in high school. That's basically high school in a nutshell. Everybody has different opinions. Everybody was raised differently. And at this point in your life, you're figuring out, what do I believe in? Who am I? High school, blah, blah, blah. Speaking as a person who had those types of friendships where I was the believer and they weren't, I would give this piece of advice because this is how I view people regularly. I mean, not just, in this one instance. One, people are people.
People are people. I say that all the time. People are people.
People are people. I understand that I'm a very social person. I'm very outgoing, and I'm not scared of people, and I don't have a social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But people are people. Like, we are the same. What's the difference between, like, you and a businessman besides money?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
They can handle money better than I can. That's what.
People are people. Everybody has, feelings, emotions. Everybody has a mom and a dad. People are people. We are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, although I do consider the dynamics of the relationship because of our different belief systems,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as ew, you're a non-believer. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to be your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not... Jesus befriended, all types of people. So, I don't know, people don't scare me. I'm a people-y person.
A people-y person.
I'm a people-y person.
So, and how do we keep... So coming from the other side,
Mm-hmm.
the other person who has preconceived notions of us
A believer.
as a believer,
Yeah.
a believer, how do we not persuade them, but how do we get them to drop their assumptions of us?
Sure. So, this is just making me think of a time in middle school when I had a pagan friend.
Mm-hmm.
Religion was not the source of every conversation.
Right.
We shared classes. We went to the same school. We knew the same people. It was just a friendship. Like, it to me, it wasn't a road barrier. But to her, there would be instances where, because that I was a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
I had to have this certain air about me. I had to have this certain reputation. Everybody had to see me as a goody two shoes, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
And several times she would call me out for it. She wasn't afraid to give her opinion, be like, "Oh, Julia, that was not very Christian of you. What would Jesus say?" So sometimes it was a joke, and a lot of times it hurt my feelings. And she obviously saw the difference between our beliefs,
Right.
but it didn't prohibit the friendship.
Right.
Years later, probably in my first or second year of high school, she reached out to me, and thank God she wanted to give her life to Christ.
Mm.
Completely different person. Now, I'm reluctant to believe that I planted the seed, because I don't think that I was that great of a person in middle school, but the evidence was there.
Mm.
I had prayed for her several times. I invited her to church. There were a lot of issues, but in the end, like, even now, as a believer, it's not the first thing that I look at when I come into contact with her every time.
Right.
So yes, beliefs are important, very much so, because the rest of your life depends on it, but I also don't think that just because somebody believes something different that it's worth judging them so harshly and then not showing Jesus to them.
Right. Sorry, I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at the
The
cats.
kitty cats are fighting.
I'm going to have to do something. That'd be cool if there was a commercial break right there.
Oh, for your app.
I could make an ad just for the
a
app.
promo video for the app.
No promo videos.
I think that'd be funny.
No. Well, I don't want to. So back when this started, I was so like listening to all these other people who do podcasts and how to do it and how to make this and how to make it grow and blah blah blah. And like they're all about like making money, and I'm over it.
Word.
This is all about getting information out to.
You just want to sit here, do your thing, and spread your message.
Spread message.
Yep.
So.
Not spread your message.
No, spread the message.
Spread the message.
Yeah. It's not really mine.
You read my mind.
But anyway, yeah, that's I don't know. I just been trying to process that idea of holding space or giving space to someone.
And I'm not trying to say this like brag or anything, but just sharing about myself, where all of my knowledge comes from. I was in a mental health program at my high school for a couple years. I am Safe Talk and Assist certified, so I know I thrive on the knowledge of mental health. I like learning about people's mental health. I'm qualified to notice the signs of suicide and how to, quote unquote, talk someone down from suicide in an emergency situation. So saying something isn't always the best route, like giving space. So sometimes when we just have this urge to fix things, like, oh, my friend has a problem and I want to help them a lot, and I want to do everything that I can in my power to just love on them and pray for them and help them and get them out of this. But sometimes they don't want that. Right. And that's, difficult to accept because we want to help them.
Right. And on that note, I think about our relationships between believers and non-believers and how we want them to be believers in Jesus. But at the same time,
giving them space
of, I think it's like we know what it could be for you and
we want you to have it.
We want you to have this life in Christ where not because it's easy and not because it's going to get you wealth, health, and all that jazz. But we know that putting our faith and our hope in Jesus is far better than the alternative. So giving them the space to reject it, and they're not rejecting us; they're rejecting Jesus. Which I'm not a. I've said this before. I'm not a good evangelist.
Evangelism is one of my spiritual gifts. It is.
No, not me.
And that's okay.
But my gift is I can sit here and talk with somebody. I'm not a good storyteller. You'd think I'd have a good storytelling abilities because of my family line.
Jerry.
I think it skipped a generation. But holding that space and still loving them and not beating over the head with the Bible or the gospel but at the same time, I think where I'm kind of headed is for us to be consistent.
It's more about being like Jesus than sharing a religion.
Yeah.
Because I think that the more you act like Jesus and the more you show Jesus, that's more noticeable than, hey, you're going to hell. Don't do that. Join this religion. Right. I think there's a big difference there. But yeah, I think loving on people and being patient with them and just forming a relationship with them regardless of their beliefs, ideology, and religion.
Well, and I think it's way more impactful, way more meaningful if we go back to the beginning of being empathetic and because every one of us has it built inside that we want to be significant and secure. I say this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Significance and security. We want to be known, loved, and we won't feel like we belong. I mean, if you flip that to the negative, I don't know a lot about gangs, but I do know about group mentality a little bit. If you can find a place where you feel like you are known, loved, and belong, even if the love is like a negative connotation of love, because what's the opposite of love?
Hate.
Wrong. It's indifference.
Huh.
Because love and hate both take the same amount of energy to do. The antithesis, the actual opposite is nothing.
I see.
It's so.
That's interesting.
In a group setting, if someone can find those things and they feel like they belong, well, they're going to go to it. I think as believers, as Christ followers, well, I'm going to say as Christians, because I think earlier church, okay. That's interesting. I think kind of like early 80s, 90s. I wasn't in the church in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 78. So, but we went to different religion classification there. But there was this connotation of you don't fit in, so you stay over there kind of thing, instead of bringing them in. Which, I mean, if you actually think about it, you think if you watch the Jesus, it's got Jesus in it. Jonathan
Jesus
Rumi.
Revolution?
Jesus Revolution.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that. Because they actually got to the point where they were allowing the people that didn't match, who fit their idea of what a Christ follower should look like, which was like a suit and tie, they were letting hippies in, and like they felt like they belonged. So I think holding space for someone or giving space also means not approving of the things that they do, but being able to love them through it. I don't want to say in spite, because I don't think that's the right word. Because, I mean, like you said, what's the difference between me and some rich businessman? Nothing. We're both severely flawed. He's just better with money.
You both bleed the same.
Yeah. So, interesting.
So, on that note, to make this podcast 30 minutes longer,
which is fine.
I want to bring up perseverance.
Perseverance.
So, in light of my situation with a non-believer friend, it wasn't about keeping her thinking about Jesus all day, every day. You know, like it wasn't, what is the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
It wasn't just about hounding her about, hey, you should believe in Jesus. Hey, you should believe in Jesus. It was like, this is my situation. This is what I believe. You draw your own conclusions.
Well, there's experiential aspects of it, but at the same time, I think the flaw in that is other religions have experiential things that happen to them, and they can come out good. So they're like, hey, I tried it and it was good, so this is awesome, so I'm going this way.
Yep.
I think with that, that could be, I mean, that is flawed. I mean, honestly, if we go by what the Bible says, it says there is one way. And the problem with just relying on experience and what you feel and what happens to you that good things happen, you're going to miss that key point that's in the Bible of there is only one way. It's through him, through Jesus, to get to God.
Right. But in conjunction.
And
we
love the word and around here.
through my relationship with this girl and trying my best to be like Jesus, that was her, like, that was her view of me, was just this hypocritical, oh, you speak one thing, but you do something else. You know, I'm going to catch every bad thing that you do. Kind of attitude. But even though I know that I wasn't the best Christian, I still had Jesus. And I know that, you know, he was still with me through all of it. And I mean, I can't speak for her for what happened in those years between middle school and my second year of high school. I don't know what changed. I don't know what it was, but Jesus showed himself through the whole thing. Even though I thought I didn't make a difference, here she is years later, and I'm handing her a Bible. So that was a big jump for her, and that was a big jump for me, because I was like, whoa, look how much you've changed. That's insane.
Well, and I mean, to play off of that, I don't know who said it, but I've heard it before. For us to be a light in the world that is so dark, we may be the only glimpse of hope in Jesus that they ever see. And even though I'm assuming here, even though she called you hypocritical, again, we're not perfect,
right? Tell me about it.
Well, and I think I guess that's where I'm headed, was in her assumption, for you to be a Christ follower, you have to be perfect,
right?
Because everything should just go away whenever you give your life over, right?
Which is not true.
It's not true. It just doesn't all go away. Do we have the Holy Spirit living in us, and do we have power to overcome those things? Yes, but we are still flawed, fleshly humans that are very prideful. We want what we want, and we want to be comfortable all the time. We do a lot of things to feel comfortable. But that's what I was getting to. Like, I think in your consistency, even if it wasn't perfect, your consistency in who you were, and the message that came across was grace. The message that came across was probably some forgiveness, some of just that there's this hope. I don't know. I don't know what other word to say of that. Wow, you probably match your outside, match the inside, even though she didn't want it to. Because I think if she didn't, I'm gonna see how I can word this. So, because your outside matched the inside, if she had to accept the fact that the outside matched the inside instead of calling you hypocrite, then she had to deal with her own stuff. You were reflecting Jesus, and in that reflection, she didn't like what she saw in her.
Word.
So it's easier to put up the facade, the mask of, oh, well, you're just not being perfect, so I don't have to be perfect either. And I can keep doing what I'm doing without any accountability.
Explains a lot. Imagine that.
I like to think I'm pretty smart too. It's just sometimes, though. Not all the time.
So, kind of off topic, but still in the perseverance related world. How personal is your podcast?
What do you mean, how personal?
Can I talk about my issues?
If you want the world to know about it, it's right there.
It's right there.
I mean, everyone knows that I've had a porn addiction in my life, and we've talked about it in this house and this family. And
so, when I'm over here, when I'm at Dad's house, to me,
we are a blended family. In case you didn't know that,
yes, we are. To me, there is a sense of community. It feels like family, and like we all spend time together. Like let's sit on the couch and let's watch something, or let's just spend time together. Let's play the Switch. Let's just play a game. Let's do something
so I can
fun.
kick your tail in Mario Kart.
The world doesn't need to know that. But
It's not all the time. You beat me sometimes.
There's this unity over here. And I really believe that it's because the leader of the household, being you, I think you're very spiritually motivated. And because you are, quote unquote, well in your walk with Christ, I think the rest of the family is affected by that.
Right.
Don't laugh. I'm saying whatever the leader of the household represents,
Right.
whatever he or she reflects, is going to trickle down into all other parts of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I just mean by you being an obedient Christ follower,
right,
that it gives us the, whatever you want to call it, the opportunity, the freedom to not only talk about our problems, but be honest, be open. There's just this.
So what you're saying is, I give my family space to be who they are.
Yes.
We're wrapped all around space.
And
space is a big place.
Space is a big place. And just to keep it brief, the feeling is very not mutual at Mom's house.
Mm-hmm.
At Mom's house, there's this very isolating feeling. We don't, function together as a family the way we do here.
Mm-hmm.
And where I'm at in my walk with Christ right now, it's just like a culture shock every time that I get to Mom's house, your house, Mom's house, your house, etc. But anyways, so that was the context. Backstory. This past weekend, we had, me and Gracie had just came home from a grad party, and it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. And at night, I'm still recovering.
Oh, that's an early party. You
I mean,
home or did you stay out all night?
11 o'clock at night. We got home at 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And I was very upset about, I was just thinking about how we didn't function as a unit at Mom's house. And gonna be honest, I blamed it a lot on Mom. So at this point it was like 12 and I couldn't sleep and I just started cleaning. Cause I didn't want to think about anything. I put on a YouTube video and I just started cleaning.
So your coping mechanism is cleaning?
A little bit.
Okay.
Slowly but surely, it's getting to that point.
Okay. Just don't turn into OCD.
Yeah, for real. And anyways, we were cleaning and my dog had, just come over and she scratched me. And I was bleeding and it hurt really bad. And this woke Mom up. And she was, she came up, she was like, do you need ice? Do you need Advil? Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. And I had this hatred. I did not want to look at her. There was just this bitterness that I had. And I'm not trying to say, oh, all of this is Mom's fault. That's not what I'm saying. That you're missing the point.
Don't hear what you're not saying?
Yes. Me and Gracie, my older sister, we sat down Mom on the couch and we were like, there's an issue. We don't know what it is, but the family is not familying. And something is not right. Something is broken. And we don't know what it is, so we're bringing it to you. And I kid you not, we were up till 2 o'clock in the morning talking about where all of us were at individually, spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
We essentially came to the conclusion that because the leader of the household was struggling spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
all of us were struggling spiritually.
Gotcha.
So, conversation lasted a very long time. We talked a lot about, IFAB statements, just a lot of emotions, lots of crying, hours of crying, lots of crying.
Well, it's 3 girls in
That's true.
the conversation. So,
That's true.
I mean,
but it was very healing.
right.
We got all of it out and it was very healing. And the next morning, which was Mother's Day, Mom and Gracie didn't really feel up to going to church. So I was like, okay, what if we just watch the live stream?
Mm-hmm.
And we did. And it was great.
From our church?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a good message.
But I mean, turning it back around to perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not trying to blame everything on, my mother. That's not the idea. But I'm saying the spiritual leader of the household was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So we all struggled.
Mm-hmm.
When the spiritual leader of the house is thriving for the most part, yes, we all have issues, but thriving, then all of us it trickles down and it affects us.
Yeah.
So tying it back around to perseverance, because we had that spiritual conversation and we were like, something's wrong, etc. We all came to the conclusion that, okay, let's crack down about being more spiritual. And I mean, I don't want to be too personal. I'm not going to say a lot of it.
Well, their part of their story is their part of the story.
Right.
You can tell your part of the story if you want.
Just
as much as you feel free to.
We came together and decided that, I feel like I'm repeating myself.
Well, you're trying to get your thoughts in order.
Yeah, and I
keep interrupting you.
I don't really have the words, but
y'all came together and figured something out, apparently.
We came to a conclusion that we're now going to persevere in Christ because we had not done that. We had decided to trust God because we had not done that. So let's just think of it as this analogy. There's 3 girls in the household, right? It's me, my older sister, and my mom. We kind of form this triangle. Mom's at the top, and me and Gracie are at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We're one shape, but mom is the point, and she's leading the family. That's it. That's the analogy.
Well, I mean, honestly, if we really delve down that road,
yeah.
The fact is it's a broken home because
yes.
Obviously I don't live there. I live over here. And I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms.
It's a different episode.
That's a whole nother episode of this. But I mean, but at the same time, I mean, that is a consequence of me not living there. Because if I was living there, but there's no guarantee I would be where I'm at spiritually if I was still there.
Sure.
No guarantee that I would or wouldn't. It's where we're at. But where we're at the same time, I try to, and I know this is not don't take this for what it's not, but at the same time, I want to let them know that, yeah, I do try. I mean, I try to have conversations with y'all. I try.
Yeah, I know you try.
We always ask, or I ask about what's going on in y'all's lives. But yes, at the same time, because I'm not there, that does fall on mom to be that person.
I think that's what I was trying to say, but I wasn't trying to say it.
Well, I mean, Yeah. Well, and because now we're in this coexistence of
Mhm.
I'm trying to be your spiritual leader from afar.
Yeah.
That's complicated.
Yeah.
Life is messy and complicated.
Life be lifing.
And life be life and complex. That I've come to the realization that there are no simple answers about life anymore.
I need that on a t-shirt.
Life is complex.
That's so true.
And messy. But it is where we're at. I mean, it is what it is. And we are where we are. So I'm gonna flip this back on you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So in that,
Yeah.
how are you? If you want to answer, you
Yeah.
go as far as you want. How are you dealing with giving space to Mom?
Yeah.
And Gracie in this? Because, like you said, obviously you said y'all felt tension.
Mm-hmm.
There was some kind of tension in the house. Wasn't exactly sure what it was, but if I'm not saying you're the spiritually more mature person than anybody else in the house, but at the same time,
I want them to feel the way that I feel.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're asking.
Okay. I hope you understand it too.
Lord. So my how do I put this? I was spiritually unrest in the house, and I knew that something was up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I have this concern and I present it to Mom and Gracie, I don't have this mentality of something is wrong and it's your fault, fix it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say, here's my concern. Do you feel the same way? And what's going on? You're essentially getting the same outcome, but the way that you present it differently shows patience, empathy, and another adjective.
Patience, empathy, and something else.
Something else.
Well, and I mean, again, I'm not there. I don't know what happens over there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm hearing is there's not a lot of communication.
Sure.
Which I'm not faulting anybody.
Right.
Because we can still communicate over here and get it wrong.
True.
Or miscommunicate or not communicate enough information.
Also true.
That happens too. But through that communication, I know just from all the groups, from all the stuff that I learned, my bootleg psychology degree that I have.
Bootleg psychology degree.
And it's not a very good bootleg. It's like a cheap boot.
I'm going to school for a real one of those.
You're going to have to teach me some stuff.
Okay.
You're bringing.
I'll bring home my notes from class.
Yeah. You're gonna coach me on the side. But with all that, I would imagine that there was some moments of freedom in that.
Yes.
Because not communicating, 3 people in the house, there's probably a lot of feelings, emotions, expectations that were bottled up that didn't come out.
Yeah.
And there was probably a lot of fear of that coming out, and then it finally came out, and there's freedom in it. So
let me just put it this way. It was a very hard conversation to have because boiled down, it was something is wrong spiritually. Let's fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But I started the sentence with a point and I completely forgot it.
Again, this is life around here. Like, where was I going with that?
I mean to say that even though it was a very hard conversation, and the underlying meaning was probably rude and in the nature of calling somebody out, but it was a conversation that needed to happen, and now the family unit is advancing forward through perseverance. now that we've had that conversation.
Well, it's because you lived in the uncomfortable for a little bit.
Yes.
We have to learn how to live in that uncomfortable all the time. And I forgot to put my because my camera is actually my phone. I forgot to put it in airplane mode, and it just went off. So I don't know if the picture went because it was. So there's that, people.
That was the people from the promo video for your app.
Yeah, messaging me.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Because people are people.
Hmm.
I love people, and they can get on your nerves sometimes.
That is another can of worms. Compassion.
Well, that's another thing with like giving space, I think, is people, because people are people,
Mm-hmm.
and they have this idea of division that if you don't agree, then you have to be something else, as opposed to I can disagree with you
Mm-hmm.
and I can still love you.
Yeah.
That we have lost the and in the things. It's always this but.
Right.
Which often comes to my mind. I think there was a point in time, excuse me, where I've probably told you that I love you, but something.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I quit doing that. I don't know if you noticed,
but that was just because I would like get on your nerves.
Well, I mean, I love you.
Quote. Actual quote from you.
She,
quote. I love you.
But.
Insert long pause. But I'm not a jungle gym. And that's true because...
Have I said jungle gym before?
Yes!
I disagree.
That is a lie and you know it.
I don't think I ever called myself not a jungle gym. Point being, I did used to say but.
Yes.
But I think in the more recent years, I've quit saying that.
Yeah.
I start saying I love you and blah, blah, blah.
XYZ.
You're annoying me.
Yes.
Or you're making me angry because I'm out of control and you're not doing what I expect you to do. So, but I can love you at the same time.
Yeah.
And the whole point of that was I don't think people do that. I think they're like, oh, I'm angry at you, so I can't love you. And
yeah, disagreeing doesn't equal hate.
No.
Like you can disagree with somebody. It's an art, and it is a very hard art. To execute the idea of like, hey, I disagree with you, but I love you all the same, and that's okay that we think different.
Mm-hmm.
Because difference in opinions spark debate, and debate leads to
healthy
anger.
Opposition.
Yeah.
That's something else that's on my mind.
2 hours later, we're talking about
not going into that, but well, okay, so I'm not going to go into the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
But okay, in my job, I have a 5-day-a-week job, and it's not this.
I wish that'd be rad.
But no, so working with coworkers, working with management, like working with other people,
mm-hmm.
you have to be challenged in a healthy opposition. And I'm not saying that they don't. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that here comes Paul.
Oh no.
I'm just saying that in environments where you are dealing with other people, there has to be healthy opposition. Someone has to, going back to, you have to live in that uncomfortable so that your thoughts will be challenged in a way that you have to think outside of what you think you know,
mm-hmm.
like what you know, but you don't really know. So you have to think outside that and find solutions and find other things to accomplish goals. So I think it's all good.
I'm going to apply that to a piece of the Bible. Ready?
Sure. I don't have my Bible with me.
Okay, here it goes. Do you think it's comfortable to have everybody in the room staring at you?
I mean...
In a bad way.
Wait, like, what do you mean?
Like, if hundreds of people are in a room and they
Okay.
were staring at you because they didn't like you, would you feel comfortable?
No.
Probably not. I wouldn't. So let me ask you this. Jesus was really good at trusting God.
Right.
He was really good at that.
Well, yeah.
And he was
Understatement.
very good at having faith in God's purpose, God's will.
Right.
Here's where the Bible ties in. Do you think Jesus was superlatively comfortable when he was destroying the tabernacle in the book of John?
So you mean when he was tossing the tables?
Yeah.
When he was tossing the temple tables?
That probably wasn't comfortable. People were probably like, dude, that dude is crazy.
Well, you know what else is not comfortable? Hanging on a cross.
That is also true, but I was going for the emotional state, not the physical
Gotcha.
state.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of emotion involved in that too.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to someone else.
Be like Jesus, be
Well,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, that is. But like, the point they were making that it was probably Tim Ross. Let's be honest. It was probably Tim.
Yeah, probably.
I listen to a lot of Tim. But for Jesus, what they were saying, like the most uncomfortable part of the hanging on the cross was not, I think it was who he had on. It wasn't Tim himself, it was who else he had on. It wasn't the fact of hanging on the cross or being beat or all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was when God had to turn his back on him.
Yeah.
Like he could take the physical, he could probably take the emotional, he could take all that stuff, but it was when he got separated from his father, that's when it got really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Not saying that it felt good to get the beating and the all that.
Right.
But let's roll that into us. We don't even want to have a conversation with a coworker.
Yeah.
Or a friend or whatever because it's uncomfortable. I'm guilty. I'm not saying that I'm not guilty. I'm guilty of it too.
People are people.
And, you hear there are people in other countries right now. This isn't like a thing right now who are dying for their faith.
Right.
And we can't we live in this bubble of America in this area that we live in.
They're going to judge me.
In Southwest Louisiana.
Yeah.
That we can't even have conversations that are uncomfortable.
It's pathetic.
But I'm in that boat. And I'm sitting right here throwing my business out on a YouTube channel and a podcast. Hey. So there's that. I don't know. I'm not saying that's an excuse. That's my get out of.
I always think of like completely illogical, blown out of the water proportions when I get scared to talk to somebody. And that sounds really weird. But like if I'm ever scared to talk to somebody, there's just like, what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
XYZ, make fun of me, do something bad. Like they're just people. People are people.
Yeah. Well, I think because we get so wrapped up in that it's going to be uncomfortable for us.
Yeah.
But
when you edit this video, zoom in on that eye roll because that was, wow. I don't think I've ever seen you do that.
Because you weren't facing me when I eye rolled it. Probably one of y'all. I hit it where
I love you,
well.
but eye roll.
Eye roll. Insert eye roll here. But anyway. Yeah. So this was good. I think
little all over the place.
we went what? But did we?
Maybe that was just how I thought of it in my head.
I feel like we spaghettied all this together.
Mm.
We stayed on the space. We're giving people space, holding space for someone for them to be who they are. Holding space for us in the fact that we don't like being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But we need to. Getting out of this headspace that we fear men more than we fear God.
Ah.
Yeah. But that could be I've talked about it before, but that could be a whole nother
Yet another.
Well, apparently, I got a lot to say. I don't know if anybody wants to hear it, or anybody cares, or anybody listens. Apparently, I got a lot to say. But anyway, all right. I think we've kept everyone trapped in their rooms long enough.
Everybody's holed up right
Everybody's
now.
holed up because they don't want to be in here. They like to having these conversations. They don't want to have them on camera.
No.
But it's cool because I can love them.
And
they
give
don't want to be
them
on
space.
And give them some space that they don't want to be on here. I'm not going to make anybody.
And cut. No, just kidding.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for this week. I thank you for sitting on the couch with me and having a conversation. Because,
yeah, I like sitting on this couch. It's a nice couch. I've been here before.
Honestly, right before I cooked supper, because yes, I did cook supper, I fried some chicken.
And it was delicious.
I thought you were going to say bussin'.
I was, but I was like, how many middle-aged men listen to this podcast? Do they understand teen slang?
Teen slang. You got to be around teens, man.
I'll say it in teen slang, but know that it was delicious. Okay, ready? Dude, that chicken was bussin'. It was scrum-delicious.
I would say that, but I'd look like a fool.
You have your own slang. That you do. Your kind do.
My kind?
When you pick up a phone, you go yellow instead of hello.
Oh.
I go, hey.
If you really want to date me, the other people on the other side, when you say yellow, they usually say and blue make green or something to that effect. You say yellow and they say and blue make green.
All right. I think we've clearly established our age difference also.
Yeah. I don't even know what generation I'm in. I think I'm at the tail end of one and the beginning of another, but I think I relate more to the older.
I think you're Gen X.
I'm old.
I think you're Gen X.
Yeah.
I think is what you are.
Whatever, man.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever, man.
Anyway, this is gonna be it for this week. I thank you for joining. If you made it this far,
don't say that.
If you made it this far, it's fantastic. But no, it's been good. I enjoy having these conversations. Actually, in my psychology ideas and blah, 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 I love sitting here and diving into the why do we tick kind of thing. It's fun. It's fun for me. I don't think it's fun for anybody else. It's fun for me.
I like talking about my feelings. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. Thank y'all. See y'all next week.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share and follow us on your favorite podcast app, Facebook or Instagram. See you next time.